Joining me now to discuss this is Queensland Senator Senator Rennick. Senator, it's wonderful to have you on the show again. Thank you. This policy cannot possibly work, can it?
No, Corey, it can't. And I'm very familiar with this policy. It's a policy that's been thrown around by economists for about the last 30 years. And it's probably one of the dumbest ideas I've ever heard an economist come up with. And that's saying something, because economists are to the finance industry what climate scientists are to the science industry and what epidemiologists are to the health industry. They sit around in a room and come up with models and assumptions that can't be applied to the real world. And you raised a very good point there between liquid and illiquid assets in particular. It will be bad enough on things that are listed daily like stocks that at least you can determine the value of the share at the 30th of June, for example. But if you've got illiquid assets like land or buildings, and if you've got, say for example, you might be a businessman that's put your land in a super fund and then you pay rent back to that, that is going to be very difficult to determine what the value of the actual land is every year. And you will have to actually sell something else if that land value has gone up, because you can't sell the land that the business sits on. So it's going to be an extremely impractical measure to apply. It will be a bookkeeping and administrative nightmare, and it is going to create liquidity problems for businesses who are going to have to find cash and I'm not sure how they're going to actually determine the value and who gets to determine the value. Is the business going to have to go and get an auditor or a valuer to value their land every year or every 3 years and pay for that as well? So it's not only the tax you will have to pay on unrealised gains, but the cost of administrating the value of something. And then the next year you may have that value decline and you just end up getting the money back from the tax office. So there's just so many questions with this, but I can assure you it will not work.
Yeah, this is the problem, Senator. It has been proposed for 30 years, as you've talked about. It doesn't work in any practical or realistic measure. How has the great treasurer who wants to reimagine capitalism as per the World Economic Forum, and he's written his treatise on it, how could they introduce such a ham-fisted, dumb policy and challenge not everyone's, but a lot of people's confidence in the superannuation system? It beggars belief for a new government.
Oh, that's very easy, Corey. That came straight out of Treasury and the boffins in Treasury. We've got over 1,000 people in Treasury that are overpaid, I can assure you, for what they do. And these guys would have been sitting around. These are some, they employ a lot of economists that have been sitting around talking about this for the last 30 years. Most of them would have actually started their careers in Treasury. They've done nothing but modelling. They've never had to reconcile a cash book or a chequebook or anything like that. So this is one of their ideas that, as I said, it's an idea that goes around in the economist world, and Treasury are full of economists who have very little real-world experience.
Ain't that the truth? And unfortunately, we've got plenty of politicians who have very little practical real-world experience either.